everyone, and welcome to this webinar of the WFSA. We are very proud and privileged to be here with this webinar celebrating what is the 30th year of WFSA Fellowships. This has been one of our most successful educational initiatives and has really shown such wonderful sustainability over the years, with so many fellows graduating annually. This webinar is being delivered by the Education Committee of the WFSA, and the Education Committee is a committee of very passionate anaesthesiologists with a background in medical education who work together to support the WFSA in medical education initiatives. And that includes training, that includes increasing opportunities for professional development in medical education, and it also includes support of the fellowships. The Education Committee have been supporting fellowships since it started 30 years ago. One of the reasons that we wanted to do this webinar today is to help increase support for institutions and practitioners who would like to develop a new fellowship, or perhaps people who are faculty of an already existing fellowship and you're looking to increase your educational opportunities and also to further development the quality that comes from the initiative. We're also here to provide support to people thinking of doing a fellowship, and we have some wonderful speakers who have got that experience today. So it was with great privilege again that I hand over to my colleague who is going to moderate this session, and that is Dr. Balavenkatasubramanian. Dr. Balavenkatasubramanian is a senior consultant anaesthetist at the Anaesthesiologist, at the Ganga Medical Center in India. He's also the secretary of the WFSA, having been a volunteer with the WFSA for many years, and is also a member of the Education Committee as well. He is the program head of the WFSA Ganga Hospital Regional Anaesthesia Fellowship, having held that role since 2015. So he himself is incredibly qualified to be supporting this webinar today. And in addition to all of those achievements and roles, he sits as the academic chair of the Indian Society of Anaesthesiologists and Asian Oceanic Society of Regional Anaesthesia and Pain Medicine. So it is with thanks, the first thing I can do today is to hand over to Dr. Balavenkatasubramanian.
Thank you so much, Sonia, and you have done incredibly well as the chair of the Educational Committee of the World Federation of Societies of Anaesthesiologists, and I'm sure this webinar would bring forward the excellent work that's being done by the Educational Committee to make sure that we make this world a level playing ground in terms of education. And I think the best way to do is capacity building for fellow colleagues who live in those geographical regions who need support. And this fellowship is an excellent bridge to make this a possibility. And today's webinar is designed so well to decipher the various facets of this interesting and impactful fellowship of the World Federation of Societies of Anaesthesiologists. And I thank Dr. Vanda for doing all the hard work in putting this webinar together, and a great pleasure in introducing her, who would speak first, and she would speak on the core pillars of a fellowship. Dr. Vanda Abirad is a clinical professor and chair of anesthesiology at the Lebanese American University School of Medicine, where she also serves as the Associate Dean for Faculty Affairs and Development. Her expertise spans regional anesthesia, pain medicine, medical education, simulation, and healthcare leadership. She's an active contributor to the global anesthesia community. She is a published author and serves on the editorial boards of several international journals. Dr. Abirad is currently a board member of the Pan-Arab Federation of Societies of Anaesthesia, a member of PAFSA's Continuous Professional Development Committee, and a member of the WFSA Educational Committee. Most recently, she was elected as an associate member of the prestigious National Academy of Surgery in France. Now, I hand over the proceedings to Dr. Vanda Abirad. Over to you, Dr. Vanda.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bala, for the nice introduction. I'm very happy to contribute to this webinar that I'm sure will be timely and of great interest for our audience. I'm going to share my, my screen now. Is this okay, Dr. Vala?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, so you're seeing my screen.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
fine. Yes.
Thank you. We've just heard about the remarkable 30-year journey of WFSA Fellowships, how they started, how they have grown, and the impact they have had across the world. And my role today is to take the next step in that conversation. And the question here is no longer whether fellowships matter. We know they do. The question is what makes a fellowship truly matter in today's global context. So in the next few minutes, I would like to share 5 core pillars or principles that apply globally, that help fellowships move beyond technical excellence to develop leaders who strengthen systems, protect patients, and give back to their communities. I'm sure you're familiar with this global workforce map that shows that still in 2024, major gaps in anesthesia access and system capacity still persist across many regions. The most severe shortages are seen mainly in low-income countries and in lower middle-income countries. But these gaps are not only about numbers. They reflect differences in leadership systems and the ability to translate expertise into safe care. And in this context, fellowships cannot be just an extended residencies. Fellowships must be transformative. They must prepare clinicians to lead, to strengthen teams, to adapt practice to local realities, and to improve care beyond the host institution. And this is why I think we need core pillars, is to ensure that fellowships consistently produce not only skilled specialists, but leaders capable of creating lasting change. And the first pillar is certainly the clinical heart of any fellowship, the advanced clinical mastery. And the goal is to achieve consultant level judgment, a physician who has the ability to manage complexity, uncertainty, and risk independently. And across all subspecialty, and I know we have now 12 subspecialty in our system, fellows gain exposure to high complexity cases, but the true core isn't just the volume, it is the graded autonomy. And graded autonomy, we mean this deliberate transition from supervised learner to independent practitioner. And this includes also safety leadership, understanding the peri-op risk, leading M&M discussions, and taking responsibility for outcomes along the entire patient journey. So ultimately, this important pillar ensures that graduates as consultants are ready to safeguard care and to lead their health systems. Pillar 2 focuses on system-based practice and leadership, which addresses one of the biggest gaps in traditional fellowship training. This pillar emphasizes understanding hospital operations, resource allocations, and value-based care. Fellows are exposed to how safety policies and procedures are developed, how quality metrics are measured, and how multidisciplinary teams coordinate together care beyond the ORs. And this pillar also directly aligns with the WFSA 2026 theme, Anaesthesiologists along the patient pathway. So fellows learn to manage the patient journey from the pre-op assessment through intra-op decision-making to post-op recovery, critical care, and long-term outcomes. So also equally important is advocacy. Fellows develop the skills to influence departmental protocols, to contribute to national safety initiatives. And this is where individual expertise becomes a system-level impact. Pillar 3 is a pillar that I cherish very much. It focuses on the person behind the mask, not just the clinician. And well-being currently is recognized internationally, especially by the ACGME, as a foundational requirement, not an optional extra or personal responsibility. And this reflects a growing understanding that professional excellence is not sustainable without psychological safety and institutional support. So a fellowship that truly matters is when it provides mentorship, not just supervision. Mentorships is what helps fellows to form their professional identity, to build confidence, and to develop resilience in the face of complexity and pressure. So psychological safety, supportive institutions, and strong professional networks are essential to preventing burnout, especially when fellows return to challenging or to a resource-constrained environment. Pillar 4 is the scholarly inquiry and implementation. But for fellowships, I believe scholarly inquiry must go beyond publications. The real challenge is not learning new knowledge, but how to translate that knowledge into practice. And as Bould and his colleagues in this interesting publication, they highlighted in their evaluation of skill transfer that the most durable skill a fellow takes home is the ability to conduct a clinical audit or to implement a safety protocol using local data. So success here isn't a published paper in a high-impact journal. It's the first safety protocol successfully implemented in the fellow's home department. And this is how inquiry becomes actions and how learning becomes durable improvement. Pillar 5 is sustainable equity and global impact. And this is one of the most concerned about international fellowships, that might be the risk of brain drain. I mean, the fear that when an anesthesiologist leaves a country where they are urgently needed and go elsewhere. This pillar addresses that concern directly through a brain gain approach. So it's not a brain drain, it's a brain gain. This is why fellowships must select candidates equitably, train them with a clear expectation of return, and actively support reintegration into home institutions. So when this is done intentionally, this temporary absence becomes long-term gain. So fellows return not only with advanced clinical skills, but also with leadership capacity and the ability to strengthen systems. And outcomes data support this model. In the large graduate survey reported by Faye Evans and her colleagues, most fellows returned home confident, were recognized as leaders, and contributed beyond their individual clinical practice, despite certainly some significant challenges. So this is how fellowships move from the risk of brain drain to the reality of brain gain. So finally, when does a fellowship truly matter? When these 5 pillars are aligned, they produce fellowships that are clinically rigorous, patient-centered, safe, equitable, and sustainable. And when all of these pillars come together to serve one purpose, is to shift success from where the fellow trains to what the fellow gives back. And this is the ultimate measure of a fellow values and the shared responsibility that we hold as educators, as institutions, and as global partners. Because I believe the real impact of a fellowship is not defined during training, but after the fellow returns home, in the care they improve, the teams they lead, and the systems they strengthen. And with this, I conclude, and I thank you for listening. And these are some nice references about the topic. Thank you.
So thank you so much, Dr. Banda, for taking us through that journey and showing the important core components of the fellowship. So there has been a question in the chat box, and the question is, why are these fellowships not open for non-physician anesthetists who still give anesthesia care in several parts of the world, especially in low-income countries? So, Dr. Banda, you would like to take this question?
I'm not sure about the answer. I would like to have the answer, but I think currently they are only open for physicians in order to strengthen the leadership part that physicians mainly are providing when they are when these fellows will come back home. It does not mean that the non-physicians will not have this leadership and this will or to change processes or to change protocols. But to me, if it can be open for both, why not? But if we have to choose, especially in these countries where such leadership is important and lacking, maybe we would go for the physician. What do you
I think I would.
Bala?
I think I would like to add to what you said, Dr. Vanda. When we train physicians from the low-income countries, and the physicians in turn would take the leadership roles to train both physicians and non-physician anesthesiologists of that country, because they get the capability and the capacity to train people. So, but however, that's a very a note which we would consider and can be taken initially in the educational committee and later to the board. But we expect the physicians who get trained through the WFSA Fellowship Program, when they get back to their respective hospital and country, would want them to educate all the physicians and non-physician anesthesiologists in making sure that the perioperative period becomes very safe. So thank you so much for that wonderful presentation, Dr. Vanda. And I'm very happy that you gave the flip for the beautiful webinar that's to follow. And now it becomes important and crucial to understand what do the fellows feel about undergoing this program. So we have Dr. Liana Vellano. She's currently working as an associate professor of anesthesia and intensive care at the University of Medicine and Pharmacy in Bucharest, Romania. She's a former WFSA Medical Education Simulation Fellow and is currently a visiting assistant professor in the Department of Anesthesia and Perioperative Care at the University of California, San Francisco. Dr. Vellano also serves as an examiner for the European Diploma in Anesthesiology and Intensive Care and is a member of the European Society of Anesthesiology and Intensive Care Examination Committee. So may I request Dr. Liana to share her thoughts on what she experienced as a fellow. Over to Dr. Liana.
Good afternoon, and thank you for this invitation. I hope that you can hear me and that you can see my slides.
Yeah, perfect. You can go ahead, Liana.
Okay, so today I will share my experience as a WFSA Medical Education Simulation Fellow and how this fellowship shaped my academic and educational trajectory. So the actual story begins in 2019 when Romania was starting to develop a national framework for simulation-based education in anesthesia and intensive care as part of an international program with significant involvement from the Romanian Society of Anesthesia and Intensive Care. As part of the medical team behind this project, I had the opportunity to start developing a Train the Trainers project for the 5 national simulation centers for formal instructor training in simulation education. I had applied for and got accepted into the WFSA EU-CSF Medical Education Simulation Fellowship with the same project. However, as you all know, in early 2020, the fellowships were cancelled due to the COVID-19 pandemic as international mobility and structured programs were put on hold. However, although the fellowship was cancelled, the need for simulation not only for anesthesia but for other specialties as well became even more evident during the pandemic. Simulation centers in Romania continued their work towards standardized simulation-based curriculum and training with help from the European Society of Anesthesia and Intensive Care and the Society for Simulation in Europe. So starting in 2022, each year saw the development and implementation of a different national course, starting with airway management in 2022, dedicated to second-year anesthesia and intensive care residents, and obstetric anesthesia in 2023, dedicated to third-year anesthesia and intensive care residents. So we had to adapt. But quite unexpected, as we know, sometimes all good things happen to those who wait. So in 2023, the WFSA Fellowship was once again active, and between January and April 2024, I had the opportunity to do a 3-month observership at UCSF, where my mentor was Dr. Maitini Lilaunitkul, Associate Professor of Anesthesia at UCSF and Associate Director of Education at the UCSF Center for Health Equity in Surgery and Anesthesia. During this period, I was exposed to structured simulation programs, high-quality debriefing techniques, and faculty development models. Importantly, the emphasis was on educational principles rather than technology, making these approaches adaptable to a wide range of healthcare systems. The fellowship continued for the next 9 months at my home institution in Romania, where I started implementing my fellowship project. So I would say that the major outcome of this fellowship was the development of a national point-of-care ultrasound curriculum for anesthesia and intensive care residents in Romania. Curriculum design was completed in 2024. You can see the title of the program that I've developed during this fellowship and the background, the rationale behind this program. And of course, the course was implemented in 2025 as a national standardized course for fourth-year anesthesia and intensive care residents as part of our national training program to simulation. The project represented a direct translation of fellowship learning into sustainable national educational projects. However, this was not the only opportunity that this fellowship offered me. At the same time, when I arrived in San Francisco, UCSF offered the opportunity to join the CHESA Global Health Equity Fellowship, which allowed me to gain a deeper understanding of what advancing health equity in perioperative care means as part of an international cohort of fellows from low and middle income countries. As part of this fellowship, we offer theoretical lectures concerning project development, grant application writing, how to secure funding, and we also had the opportunity to address various projects during work-in-progress presentations, journal clubs, or grand rounds. By March 2024, I managed to transition from a simple observer to a contributor as I helped design and deliver a trauma simulation session at UCSF for anesthesia trainees, and this experience highlighted the value of bidirectional exchange and resulted also in an abstract submission to the 2024 Trauma Anesthesia Society Conference, demonstrating that global fellowships can also generate academic collaboration and scholarship. Another major outcome of my fellowship year was that in November 2024, I had the opportunity to participate as a faculty member for the Simulation for Medical Education or SMILE instructor course in Uganda. This course was developed before the pandemics by the previous WFSA SIM fellow, Dr. Sanderger, under the mentorship of Dr. Lilaunitkul. During the second edition, around 40 anesthesiologists, emergency medical physicians, paramedics, and nurses from Uganda, Cameroon, and Kenya were trained in using low-resource simulation for medical education. This experience reinforced the importance of international collaboration and demonstrated that effective simulation education is driven by educational principles, adaptability, and local engagement rather than resources alone. Of course, the journey, my fellowship journey, was not without challenges. The initial cancellation of the fellowship, followed by logistical and funding consideration later on, such as potential visa-related issues or ways to secure non-clinical time at the local hospital and university in Romania, required patience and flexibility. These challenges were overcome to both WFSA and CHESA, who provided local administrative support at UCSF, but also by the academic support that I had in Romania, and last but not least, by strong personal motivation, highlighting that fellowships are as much about resilience as they are about opportunity. So, as a conclusion, for me, the key lessons from this experience are pretty clear. Persistence matters, mentorship is essential, and simulation is a powerful educational equalizer. Global fellowships have, however, the greatest impact where they are aligned with local needs and where participants are prepared to adapt, not simply replicate educational models. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Liana, for taking us through the journey on your transformation. And we are so happy to hear your story. And we would take the questions after the presentation of the next doctor, Dr. Amos Zakaria, who did the Pediatric Anesthesia Fellowship, completed the training in 2024 from the University of Nairobi, Kenya. Currently, he works as pediatric anesthesiologist at Mbia Zonal Referral Hospital and head of department, clinical lecturer at the University of Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. And we are very happy that he serves in the Mbia College of Health and Allied Sciences. He's currently a member of the World Federation of Society of Anaesthesiologists Educational Committee. He's also serving as the Deputy General Secretary at the Society of Anaesthesiologists of Tanzania. We'd be very happy to hear what transformed Dr. Amos and his thoughts on the fellowship that he underwent. Over to Dr. Amos.
Hello, I hope you can see my screen and also you can hear my voice.
Perfect, Amos.
Thank you so much. So allow me to talk a little bit on my reflections. And specific, I want to talk to my colleagues who are planning to start fellowship and others, for example, who are continuing with their fellowship program. My talk will be specific, sharing my thoughts, what I think is like the life and everything to do with fellowship. I would say when you start a fellowship, one of the first challenge is saying goodbye to yourself and to your family, institution, and the country. And I'm talking from this experience, for example, when you take a fellowship outside your country. This might mean stopping or delaying some of your personal socioeconomic programs. And therefore, it's not really something easy to take. It needs your personal drive to be convinced that it's the right time to take a fellowship opportunity. When you have a family, you need to remember that there is a family which you have left behind and think about the socioeconomic affairs of the family you have left behind. So I want to emphasize that it's important that you put everything clear and in place before you leave your country, before you leave your family, and before you leave your institution, because you need a peace of mind when you start a fellowship. Well, a fellowship program is like a flight. There is a taking off, that time of taking off. When I did my fellowship at the University of Nairobi in Kenya, we started by having a boot camp, which consisted of other fellows from Uganda, Zambia, and Nigeria, enrolled under the PATA program, Pediatric Anesthesia Training Program for Africa. And University of Nairobi happens to affiliate with that program as well. So we were taken in Zambia for 2 weeks duration. And this was a stress-free environment. I remember how we met mentors, great mentors from Africa, program coordinators from outside the continent, and we got the whole picture of how the fellowship is going to look like we had to go through some number of courses like, MEPA course, PAS, and very, intensive workshop like regional anesthesia in pediatrics, just for 2 weeks to do like an introduction of what we should expect. For me, that was a great start. And when I went back now to Nairobi, things now were, a little bit exciting. I want to talk about the intensity of the training during the fellowship program. At the University of Nairobi, the main teaching hospital is the Kenyatta National Hospital. I would say a year is nothing when you are in training, because I remember just spent like 6 to 7 months at the Kenyatta National Hospital. Otherwise, other program, because they have a very structured, comprehensive program. And you meet so many faculty members, so many consultants. You meet and perform different surgical procedures with different complexities. And what is important as well is opportunity we are given also to go to other hospitals in Nairobi, especially the Kijabe Hospital and the Chua hospitals. We go to another hospital so that we can get the test of other complex and specialized procedure, like orthopedic, plastic, and trauma cases when you go to Chua International Hospital in Nairobi. But also, we went to Uganda for a month just to get a taste of the comprehensive pediatric neuro procedures at Chua International Hospital in Uganda. And for me, like a year elapsed like a second, because how the program is very well structured. Every day when you wake up, you have to be where and doing what. So it's a very dedicated moment, and you have to be ready for that. This is our class. This is how our class looked like. So we every Wednesday, every week, is an academic day. And we had a virtual class. This is how our virtual class looked like. One time we met with our mentors, with our teachers, I think in South Africa, and it was beautiful when we met. So in that virtual class, I want to bring a concept of using the benefit of technology. You don't need to be trained by your host consultant. We get opportunity to be trained to discuss in details with fantastic trainers within the continent and outside the continent. We present our cases, mobility and mortality audits, meetings, and the level of interaction is too deep. So when I look at this picture, I can see my big boss, course coordinator at the University of Nairobi, Dr. Gashi, with the other program coordinators from other training institutions in Africa. And this is how our virtual class looked like. Fellows from Nairobi, fellows from Uganda, Zambia, and Nigeria. We could meet every Wednesday to have that hot interaction. Well, at the University of Nairobi as well, we are given an opportunity. And I remember toward the end of our program, we were told that, we train you not to be the local pediatric anesthesiologist, but to be ready to meet and interact with the global community. So we are given opportunity to attend one of the international conferences. And in the year 2024, we attended the SPA and ACA meeting in the US, in Philadelphia. And after attending those meetings, you have, of course, to present the poster. And then we do an observership program. And I happened to go in one of the hospital, Lord Children Hospital in Chicago. And for me, this was more of exposure, and not about the clinical work, but to also talk about the leadership, a quality improvement project. And I remember I learned a lot with my host team at the Rudy Children Hospital in Chicago. And I still have their contacts. We do interact. And it's a beautiful thing because after being trained in lower and middle income countries, it was a nice thing to see how pediatric anesthesia is being practiced in an area where you almost like have everything at your disposal. And that was another opportunity which was exciting to me as well. After all those excitements are lady, I would say here now comes a point to face a reality. You have to go back home and implement what you have learned. This picture I have showed here is not how I found things at the hospital where I work at the moment. But thanks to other partners like Smiley Train and the Kids OR, that after almost 8 months, they came and installed the modern equipment. And as we speak now, at my facility, we do have a dedicated operating room just for pediatric. But I would say preparing for safe landing is very important. You have to know that you'll go back to work to the hostel you left and think about what are the setup you're going to find. And endurance and the patience, I think it's important because it's easy to be frustrated. And when I say, patience, I don't mean you have to stay idle and quiet, but vigilance and push things to happen. Well, unfortunately, in my country, with almost 64 million population, we are just only 5 pediatric anesthesiologists, 104 physician anesthesiologists. So you understand that when you become a pediatric anesthesiologist in our setup, you don't become a pediatric anesthesiologist of your institution. You become a pediatric anesthesiologist of the whole nation. And so one of our quality, one of our initial project with my colleague was how we can bridge the gap of pediatric anesthesia training in our country. And while we have a 0 center for fellowship training in my country, but that does not stop us from changing changing things. We do run other refresher courses like safe pediatric courses, MEPA workshops, and the other workshop like regional anesthesia workshops to our colleague anesthesia care providers, and especially non-physician anesthetists, because they are majority and they handle pediatric patient as well. Hopeful, fingers crossed, perhaps in the near future, we are striving to have a center for training fellows in our country as well. Therefore, I would say this is my take, really, that I would want to advise that before you take a fellowship, it's important to have a personal preparation. And if you are a family person, think about it. How are you going to live your family? Think about your country, because this is the key before you move and take a fellowship. But number 2, again, induction program sets the pace. I don't say that every fellowship program should have that big, boot camp before you start a fellowship. But it's important, I think, a fellow, first of all, to be prepared emotionally, physically, so that when, the marathon starts, a fellow feels like it's an exciting moment. And then for me, the quality of a fellowship is about the number of cases, the complexity of the cases you perform, the quality number of the consultants you meet, you happen to work with, and the setting of where you are doing that fellowship. Remember, before you take a fellowship, think this, because you're going to come back to your country, to your center, and landing, you might feel some turbulences. So it's very important to find some collaboration, some partners who will help to, make your landing safe after your fellowship program. And finally, for me, this is my take, learning never ends after a fellowship program. You have to continue communicating to your mentors. You have to continue collaborating. And believe me, I'm still learning. I'm still calling my mentors when I have a very complex case. And this is how educational program is beautiful. So that's all, Dr. Bala. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Amos, for your excellent exposition of what it is to be a fellow. So I just wanted to personally ask you, after getting equipped, and when you get back, you said you faced turbulence. And may I, for the interest of everyone to understand, what are the major turbulences that you face, and how do you give solutions for these challenges, the main and the most important ones?
Thank you so much. When you are done with the fellowship, and I'd want to be sincere and that's to the point. One of the immediate turbulence I faced when I came back to the hostel where I work was really the theater setup. We didn't have an operating room dedicated to pediatric surgeries. We all know when you are handling pediatric procedures, like what it takes to have an adequacy in terms of preparation, like everything should be told to pediatric patient. Now, when you leave that operating room, you find everything has been changed. Everything now, from the mask, from tracheal tube, from the breathing circuit, everything now has been, mixed up. And it was really challenging. But I would say that was the biggest, to start with, turbulence I faced. But I would say, how did I, encourage myself? I had to meet, I think I was lucky because I met a pediatric surgeon who had completed training the same year I came back. And now we built a local team of pediatric, like we call the pediatric team. And we were able to push this agenda to the administrator. And because the hostel was a partner to Smile Train, we kept on pushing until the Smile Train and the kids all did marvelous things to our hospital. And at least that turbulence now settled. Thank you.
Excellent, Dr. Amos. Thank you so much. And definitely you kind of showing that every challenge can be met, and it's your attitude towards giving the best to your patients. Excellent, Amos. Thank you so much. And one quick question to Dr. Liana. Would you think that you need high fidelity simulation centers for doing fellowship programs, or even the low fidelity would be good for countries which wants to promote such training in lower middle income and lower income countries?
So I think that high fidelity simulation is just one part of a bigger picture. And I think that simulation can be used for education in low resource countries, because you don't really need to have all the equipment. You can do it just with some basic mannequins, for example, or you can even do it just by playing some roles. So the idea is not necessarily to have the equipment, because this requires funding. It might be quite complicated, but to have the determination and to want to do something. I think that is the most important thing. So maybe, and this is what I was discussing with my mentor, with Dr. Laonitko, maybe even for a simulation fellowship, it would be a good idea for trainees to spend part of the fellowship in a high income setting to see how things are done there with high fidelity simulation, and part of the fellowship in a low income setting and see how things can also be done with not a lot of technical equipment, but mostly with determination.
Excellent. I think eventually it boils down to, I like the word determination to get things done. And thank you so much for that wonderful answer, Dr. Liana. Having heard Dr. Liana and Dr. Amos, who got those important words of wisdom from their mentors, and they graduated as a fellow, and then they've started taking leadership roles in those regions. Now we move on to the other side, what it is to be a mentor. So may I request Professor Dr. Ekta Rai, who finished her pediatric anesthesia fellowship earlier from Singapore and currently is the head of the Department of Anesthesia in one of the largest medical centers of the country, India, and one of the most highly rated institution for its expertise in almost all specializations of anesthesia. It's called the Christian Medical College, Vellore, from the southern part of India. And this institution has been offering fellowship in pediatric anesthesia through WFSA and also in critical care. And we are very fortunate to have the professor and head department of anesthesia of CMC Vellore, Dr. Ekta Rai, who also serves as a member of the educational committee of the World Federation of Societies of Anesthesiologists, to share with us the perspective of a program director. Over to you, Dr. Ekta.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bala. Am I audible and is my slide seen?
Yeah. Can you make it full screen?
Is it full screen now?
Yeah, it's perfect. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Good day, everyone. And I'm so excited to see so many people, delegates joining from different parts of globes. So today, my task is to talk about Program Director's Insight. And after hearing both the fellows, I'm really excited to share my version of it. Is my slide moving? Yeah. So at the outside, first thing first, let me congratulate WFSA for completing 30 years of constant support to fellowship program, because this program has started off with training 3 fellows in 1996 to 400 fellows till date, and it's been big achievement. How many countries, how many specialities, how many parts of the world they have touched is really amazing. So at the moment, there are 12 subspecialties which are getting trained by 28 institutions over 18 countries. And I come from Christian Medical College, Vellore, and we have 2 fellowships, one critical care fellowship and the other one pediatric anesthesia fellowship. And I'm the course director for pediatric anesthesia fellowship. Our journey in CMC started 20 years back when in 2006, Dr. Rebecca Jacobs started this fellowship. And for last 6 years, I've been course director. And we have around 22 fellows who have been trained by us, and amazing and satisfying results we have seen. Disclaimer, I'm going to talk about my institution and my first-hand information at this point of time due to lack of time. And if I have to begin, I will say that, the idea of WFSA fellowships here is to train anesthesiologists from LIC and LMICs so that they can increase their skill set and become the safety champions in their own country. So that's really amazing, because the overall goal is to have safe anesthesia for all surgical procedures. As a course director, when I look back and I see that, what all should I be talking about in this webinar, I feel I want to start with selection process. Like any other selection process, this process also is very systematic, very stringent. The applications are called, they are screened, they are assessed, the references and backgrounds are checked from their national societies, and finally fellowship is granted. What I can see here is the interview is missing, but I must tell you, with the advent of AI infiltrating the application forms, I think we are not too far from the fact that interviews will start. So I would urge all the fellows to write applications by themselves so that we can feel the application, we can feel the fellow through their applications. Now, when I look back and I see what should I see in a candidate, I've just expanded this from candidates to the selection process, because I feel I need only one thing from candidate. The candidate must be focused and should have an intention to learn. What I probably ask is from the selection process, where I feel the selection process should be able to pick up the candidates who can later create a snowball effect, which is very, very important. And also the process should be able to carefully match candidates to the institution so that the candidates can feel the similar environment and they understand what their country's need are, and are they met in the institution where they are learning. Obviously, the aim of fellowships is to provide safe anesthesia all over the world, but aim of course director is to answer the how to create that safe learning environment, how to foster the candidates who are coming from different part of globes, as Amos said, leaving their family, they're already emotional, how to support them. So how do we do it? In our institutions, once the candidate is selected, first thing I insist is to have an online meeting with the fellows, where there's nothing but the ice breaking. We talk about the academic needs. We just generally talk about non-academic needs. At this point of time, we give them a small booklet which talks about some basic resuscitation drugs detail, and we share our department functioning, department protocols, what do we get in food. So, the basic necessities. I consider this part of fellowship the most important, the initial settlement. This is where you make or break. It's not for course directors. We need to understand this is also, it's mainly about academics, but also about non-academic, especially at the initial part of the fellowship. What we do is, for their academic needs, our fellowship is 6 months, so at least 1 week we get them to shadow the seniors in subspecialty. They go around with them, not really do much, but they go around so that they understand how we maintain hygiene, sepsis, sterility, all these things. They should get a feel of it. And then obviously non-academic needs we cannot ignore. The moment they land, they should have a contact point, they should have a vehicle waiting for them to bring them, and then we ensure that their accommodation is booked, things like that. Now, from course director perspective, I think academia is the major thing. And how do we do in our place? We for 6 months fellowship, we conduct 3 appraisals, and the first appraisal is very, very important. That's where we talk about the baseline exposure of our fellow, how many years of experience he has or she has, and how many years of fellowship specialty he's been working into, and based on that we customize the fellowship. We don't go by a standard protocol, we customize it based on the need of the fellow. The second appraisal is pretty much to find the pace of knowledge gaining, and the third appraisal again is very important, where we do it 5 months at 5th month, where we call it winding up appraisal, where the candidate tells us that I need to do so and so procedures or cases so that they can be of use to their own country. Now, we strongly believe in overall growth of a candidate. Obviously, comprehensive knowledge sharing, skills, hand holding while they are learning skills, all that happens. But we understand they may be the first pediatric anesthetist, they may be first people who are going back to their country. So we believe in collaborative skills. So we send them to sister departments. We have a lot of standardized in-house courses. We make them attend that. We insist on some kind of research that can be as simple as case series or audits, which they do over 6 months. And then we make sure they present either case report or their audits at national conference to have a feel of country as well. Now, coming to the assessment part of it, we do very strong formative assessment in terms of discussing cases in theatre, outside theatre, giving feedbacks on their procedures, giving feedback on the knowledge. We don't do summative assessment in our fellowship because I feel this fellowship is not about giving degree. So I mean, there can be variable opinions, but we don't believe in summative assessment. So what we believe in, following up our fellows, we never leave them alone. We have a WhatsApp group, and all the fellows till today are on that WhatsApp group. We discuss cases. If they have a difficult case in Sudan, we all sit down and make plan for that case, and then we get to know how they completed the case. So I think course coordinator is not just the skill delivery mode, or is the person who is delivering the knowledge, but is actually bridging between WFSA and fellows. Obviously, like any other responsibility, there are many challenges. If I have to enumerate one or two, I think delays, there are visa-based delays, the approval, registrations, medical council regulations delay, but they are very anticipated. So if we start our fellowships right on time, applications, I don't think that's going to be a big problem. At least I can talk about our country. Language was once upon a time a big barrier for us. We had a candidate who spent 6 months, but actually neither we could understand nor he. And then we actually went back and feedback WFSA, and now this is a part of our selection process. So I think all the problems are salvageable, but I can't stop without talking about my fellows. They all are stars, and I apologize if I can't tell everybody's story because of lack of time, but I do want to share some stories here. I do want to share story of Dr. Pauline Wake, who is serving in rural part of PNG. This country has only 2 pediatric anesthesiologists. She's a key member in teaching and training anesthesia, not only pediatric anesthesia in that country, and we are collaborating further. I do want to talk about Dr. Moses, our traveler. He is head of department of one of the prestigious institution in Kenya. He has been doing amazing job in snowballing all what he learned from us, and he's training non-physicians, he's procuring equipment, collaborating with NGOs. He's about to start some Kenyan Pediatric Anesthesia Society, and the country has only less than 20 pediatric anesthesiologists. I feel this is the summative assessment when they are able to prove what they have come there for. There are many stories. Dr. Anjali, who is actually in Maldives now, Nepali girl, she is expert in Maldives for preterm and term neonates, and she's all busy creating protocols there. We have lovely fellows like Min, who's working very hard in Myanmar for pediatric anesthesia, and our own Indian fellows who have been working in prestigious institutions and actually working really hard. I mean, I would urge everybody to read this, every course director to read this article, because it gives us a lot of insight. And I cannot finish before talking about my own team. This is the team who each one of them has been involved in mentoring my fellows, and this is our vibrant department. A department can only work when institution has visionary leaders, and I'm very glad to say that our institutional leaders are really visionary, and institution cannot do anything if the country doesn't allow. So I'm really glad that India allows international candidates to come and learn. I would like to end with this quote, which is all of you would have heard. Give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. Teach a man how to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. But I would like to add few words for WFSA. Teach a man how to fish and give him a fishing net. He will not only feed himself, but his community as well. I think WFSA is doing this, and I would really like to thank WFSA for that. Thank you so much.
Excellent, Dr. Ekta, for that great insights into the program, and also very happy to see your fellowship students doing great job in their respective countries. Very well done. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
And to share the perspective of the mentor and the program director, we have yet another excellent anesthesiologist who has contributed a lot to the World Federation of Societies of Anesthesiologists, Dr. Mauricio Vasco. He's a specialist in anesthesia and intensive care at Medellin, Colombia. He's obtained a scholarship for medical simulation from Brigham Hospital and at the Harvard Medical School, Boston, United States. He's the past chair of the Constitution Committee of the World Federation of Societies of Anaesthesiologists, where he served between 2020 to 2024. He's the past chair of the Obstetric Anesthesia Committee of the World Federation of Societies of Anaesthesiologists from 2016 to 2020. He also served as the president of the Colombian Society of Education-Based Simulation, and currently faculty and director at the Simulation Center at the Universidades Medellin, Colombia, and very happy that he has contributed phenomenally to the fellowship program, to the World Federation of Societies of Anaesthesiologists. Over to Dr. Vasco to present his perspectives as a host and as a mentor.
Thank you, Professor Bala, WFSA, for the invitation and for your kind introduction. The WFSA offers 6 fellowships in Latin America. One of them is focused on training in OB anesthesia. In the next few minutes, I will share the experience of my group in the city of Medellin, Colombia, with this training center. Colombia is located in the north part of South America, right here. And it is the only country on the continent with shores to the Caribbean Sea, this part, and the Pacific Ocean. Colombia is classified as an upper middle income country by the World Bank. And Colombia sits in the middle, in the heart of the Americas, making it quickly and easy to reach by plane from any major city in the region. Medellin, now my city, is the main tourist destination in the country. It's one of the world capitals of the 4th Industrial Revolution because our strengths in research and innovation. It was also the host city of the more recent World Congress of Obstetric Anesthesia. Please, when you visit us, do not miss the largest collection of works in the world by our most important artist, Master Fernando Botero, and please enjoy the city urban culture. The clinic where the fellows train take place is the Clínica Universitaria Bolivariana, sound in Spanish. This center handles 8,000 deliveries per year with 70% high-risk patient. The cesarean section rate is around 40%. And this is an university hospital that can host 2 WFSA fellowships in OB anesthesia per year for a 3-period month. The facility of the clinic has a labor and delivery room that can easily be converted at a fully equipped operating room for emergency surgical procedures. The center also has intensive care beds dedicated exclusively to maternal care, allowing full supports for the mother and also for the baby. And in the most of the critical care cases, we don't need to take the patient to the ORs or to the labor and delivery rooms. The centers also have intensive care beds dedicated exclusively to neonatal care. Finally, the center is the fetal surgery unit with the most experience in the country and is one of the only 2 centers of excellence in obstetric anesthesia in Latin America certified by Society for Obstetric Anesthesia and Perinatology, SOAP. Now, let's move on to today's key question. What makes a fellowship truly great? Our approach is based in most of the concepts that my colleagues said previously, but our approach rests on 3 main pillars. First one is academic excellence. The second one is the leadership training. And third is fostering a mentorship-based models. In obstetric anesthesia and in emergency maternal critical care, nearly 60% of women needs anesthetic care at delivery. Cesarean sections are rising worldwide, and in Latin America is the most frequent surgery done. Many of these interventions require anesthesia for operative or assisted deliveries, teamwork in obstetric emergencies, and running procedures during pregnancy or puerperium in labor and delivery suites, operating rooms on critical care units. As the obstetric population becomes higher risk, obstetric anesthesiology must act as perioperative and, in this case, peripartum physician specialists. This situation underscores the urgent need to train specialists in peripartum medicine, and that's our goal in our center. A strong focus is needed on competency-based and simulation-based education, supported by short courses offered by WFSA like the SAFE courses and the BUS course, and especially train the trainee courses for the people who can access to this kind of courses, who can train the people in your hospital and in your region. Team-based training, learning non-technical skills, and structured debriefing techniques, especially clinical debriefing like water or toll debriefing, are essential for our trainees. Equally important is a curriculum in professional well-being, mindfulness, coaching, and early detection on burnout. Since 2006, our program has trained 20 fellows, maintaining a geographic and gender balance for the region. We have a big gap from 2020 to 2020 to 2023 because the COVID-19 pandemic. And we have a new fellow, one from Paraguay, in 2024. Based on our two first pillars, academic excellence and leadership development, 80% of our fellows returning to their countries of origin and hospitals. They holding their positions of academic leaderships, and they participate in the governing bodies of the National Society, members of boards, council, scientific committees. They work with the Minister of Health, with the countries, and they are involved in the development of public health initiatives, safety and quality, aiming to reduce maternal and perinatal mortality in their countries. Finally, I want to thank you to all our mentors, especially in OB Anesthesia, Dr. Paul Howell and Angela Enright. This mentor is inspiring our work. And I want to thank the anesthesia team and Clínica Universitaria Bolivariana for keeping this project going. Over 20 years, it has helped to reduce maternal mortality in our region. I want to invite you to read this editorial where many of the concepts expressed in this lecture are reflected. Especially healthcare trainees may use their new skills to move to another cities, other countries, or higher paying jobs. To stop this, it's important to create incentives, not just money, to keep trained professionals, the fellow working in their own regions and his hospital. Thank you for your attention, and now I'm happy to take any question you may have, and I look forward to see you soon in Morocco and the World Congress Anesthesia.
Thank you so much, Dr. Vasco, for that brilliant presentation. And I think programs like this would definitely bring down the maternal morbidity and mortality. And also, if we add the current pilot projects, which is going to happen of the WFSA on the patient blood management, if that is added to this, the morbidity and mortality would come down. So we had such brilliant presentations from all the speakers, and it's the time for the answering some of the questions which have come in the chat box. But I would begin with a note. There are several notes that have come from our delegates and would wanted to start with what Dr. Janet Martin had written. Hello from snowy Canada. Just wanted to say, amazing work. The WFSA Fellowship Program is truly an example for all the other medical specialties, and it has shown genuine commitment and sustainability for 30 years. So I think we would start with that positive feedback and note that we got from Janet Martin. Thank you so much. And for all those who gave such excellent inputs and thanks notes from various parts of the world. And I just would wanted to start with some of the questions. And the first one will be to Dr. Vanda. This has been posted by Dr. Nyanvi from Rwanda, and he wanted to know, when someone has completed their fellowship and they return back to their country, so is there a plan to continue to mentor the WFSA fellows back home when they reach their countries to update their best practices and help them to overcome challenges encountered in their daily professional practice and grow more? So that's from Nyanvi Damison from Rwanda, Kigali. I'm happy to share that he was one of our regional anesthesia fellows who completed at Ganga Medical Center and Hospital. So Dr. Vanda, he's posed this question to you.
Thank you very much for the question. And I was really amazed by when I heard Dr. Rai dedicating some time from her presentation to show this WhatsApp group, how they are still interacting with their previous fellows. And I think this is really wonderful. And I'm sure for Dr. Vasco the same. So maybe I would want Dr. Ekta and Dr. Mauricio to reflect more on this question.
So basically it's all about how to stay connected. Is that Dr. Vanda?
Yes, how you are still mentoring your previous fellows when they leave this fellowship this 1 year and they go home, and then you are always in contact with them, mentoring them even from far.
To be very honest, there's not much effort which goes into this, because when they stay with us, there's a lot of human connect and friendly connect happens with them, and actually you don't have to put any effort. They actually mail you, they WhatsApp you every single thing where they feel either they need help or they want to share. So I think that connect happens while you're doing fellowship. And then after that is just you stay continued in touch with your family. It's your WFSA family. So the WhatsApp is the medium where we connect mostly.
Yeah. Banda, we use the national meeting in anesthesia and critical care. We go to that meetings. And another point very important is when they arrive to his country, nobody want to work in that new way that they see in the fellowship. And they send the obstetrician and the nurses to our centers to see the women can have a labor without pain, they can do a cesarean section in the way that the standards say. And that is very important because it's like a family now. And we use again a lot of workshops and the national meetings to maintain and engage with the fellowship.
Thank you. So I think this is effortless. It is coming with the fellowship as a package, even if this is not mentioned as official, but it is, I believe all programs are doing this.
Yeah, I think that sums up and beautifully sums up that the fellowship program is not just knowledge sharing. It is more than that, because we kept hearing that we became a family. So it's an emotional connect which would stay for long and forever. Thank you so much for the answers from all the three of you. And possibly this question will be for Dr. Ekta. So how safe Are these countries for female fellowship students coming from lower middle income and low income countries to countries like India? Would there be an accommodation provided or an hostel? So there is a safety point that's being questioned. Dr. Ekta, would you like to take this?
Yeah, sure. I think there's a very valid and very important question. I think when a fellow comes from other country, that is the most important thing you're worried about, even before starting your academic sharing. So it's an important question. You know, it's not 100% safe, but when a fellow comes to us, we ensure that from the airport till the accommodation, one of us, sensible person, is around with the fellow. The vehicle, the driver we send is from our own institution. So we really look after these things very sincerely. And when they go for our police, verification, things like that, for principal office, they are in different location. We always send a person along with them, so we never leave them and then as soon as they come, we kind of connect them to their peer, one of our postgraduates who is from India and who has been in Vellore for 2-3 years or 2 years. We connect that person to especially the female fellows. And as far as possible, we try and get accommodation for them either in the hospital, which sometimes become difficult, or very close to the hospital. So we are very mindful of these things, and we act immediately if there is any complaint about anything. So, but nothing is 100% safe.
No, but thank you, Ekta. But I want to reassure, having been in this position of a fellowship head for over a decade, and with over 38 fellows had come from 18 countries in my center at Ganga Hospital, I want to reassure, India is as safe as any other part of the world. There's nothing that you will find that is very different here. In fact, I would say that you can just take away the fear of going. And as Dr. Ekta said, that an additional layer of comfort and security is given to all the fellowship students. And as of today, we have never heard anything that has happened to any of the WFSA fellows, any part of the world. So I think all the mentors take adequate care, and you can be rest assured that it's going to be very safe. Now, the question I would wanted to pose to Dr. Sonia. Dr. Sonia is the current chair of the Educational Committee. There's a question that's been asked to know what are the essentials to apply for the fellowship?
Thank you. Well, our fellowships are, they're first of all, I should say, they're advertised online and in social media, and the advertisements propagate through our communities and our networks as well. But also individuals can get in touch with the Secretariat to find out what fellowships are coming abroad, so coming ahead of time. So for example, if you have a particular subspecialty of interest, or you're looking to see what may be available in your region, we often know ahead of time what WFSA fellowships are there. And then the application process, it requires for WFSA fellowships that you're a member for your member society and that you can have a support letter there. And then there is a specific application process to follow, which is explained there. And we can also help you with that. So you can get in touch with the Secretariat again for support in understanding the application requirements. They vary slightly by fellowship, but generally the principles are of being a member of good standing, and then also the specifics to apply for the actual fellowship.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Sonia. There have been some questions in the box, which many of them would wanted to know about the Onco Anesthesia Fellowship, Neuro Anesthesia Fellowship, Regional Anesthesia Fellowships, Critical Care Fellowships. When are they starting, and whether they could apply? And so how do you want to respond to these multiple questions on how would they know and where do they get the information from?
So again, you could start with our website, and then also I would suggest to contact the Secretariat. So our website is very useful for telling us what opportunities are available at the moment. And there's a fellowship map, which can also give you an idea of some of the long-standing fellowships and where they are geographically and by subspecialty. But if you have a specific query or you'd like a list of everything that we expect to be advertised, for example, in 2026, I would contact the Secretariat. So there's Elizabeth Thompson as one person, and also Sarah Portugal is another person that are very involved in looking after fellowships. There's a number of fellowships that that we would love to have as well. So this whole project, I think, in my view, and you can look in the chat as well, in view of everybody, it is really worked to address a gap, which is subspecialty training, advanced training for people that have completed their residency, and also supporting growing into being a consultant. And that's where these fellowships have really come into their own. We'd love to have many, many more, because there remain gaps where we would like to have some. And some of these gaps involve in regions, so we'd like to grow it in particular regions, some in subspecialties. There's been a lot of conversation about introducing oncoanesthesia as a subspecialty there. They all require resources and support, because we need to make sure that the appropriate resources and support are in place so that those people get the high quality educational experience that our fellowships are for. And these are not infinite. So unfortunately, there still, despite our best work, remain gaps. And part of what this webinar is to try and talk about is to also say the principles of good fellowships elsewhere as well. So fellowships that may exist outside of the WFSA, or fellowships that may be partnered with other organizations, including national societies, just to say that, you know, we're working in collaboration with other places where there's educational support to try and fill this gap. And whilst we all do that, of course, the WFSA is looking for ways that we can grow fellowships in a sustainable way, so more and more people get these opportunities. And in the next 30 years, we manage to fill these gaps even more.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Dr. Ekta, you wanted to share something?
No, Dr. Bala.
Okay, sure. This question is to Dr. Vasco. For the fellowships offered by WFSA, for example, in Colombia, can the student of the same nationality apply for that fellowship in his own country?
Yes, that's a great question, because the nationality is only one item in the full process for the people. We really like to choose people from low resource settings that works in university hospital, then they have full support of your centers for working in OB anesthesia and change the programs of labor analgesia and enhanced recovery programs in C-section and programs with impact in public health. And we have we receive a lot of application from people from middle and high income countries in Latin America. Unfortunately, the panel for have the choice, the decision is 3 people from the WFSA, and they try to do the best. And for us, it is not the country the only item to take that decision, Professor Bala.
Yeah, so thank you so much. I think that was a great answer. And possibly before we conclude, if I would request everyone to say a word about the take-home message that they would want to give to our global colleagues from across the world who are willing to take the fellowship or who would willing to be a mentor, and for the board and the committee and the councils of the World Federation, which has really worked hard to make this a sustainable project. So may I start with one take-home message. Apart from my first take-home message is sincere thanks to all the mentors for doing such an excellent work, because they are exposing their patients to in so-called outsider and still making them comfortable at the workplace, and also for all the fellows for taking up that courage to come out of the comfort zone and to live in a different culture and country and different language. So it's brilliant. So I wanted to congratulate and the WFSA for doing this, to the president and the board for doing this consistently. Now, first take home from Sonia.
Thank you. I'd like to also share those thank yous for, first of all of the supportive fellowships that has spanned decades. And that goes from everybody involved in fellowships, the fellows, fellowship heads, other supporters in their department, the WFSA and various committees, and then also to the individuals involved in organising today, especially Dr. Vanda Abirad, who has put a lot of work into this webinar. My particular take home is going to be to really think about quality. I think a number of the people today have really talked about what they invest when they go to do a fellowship in another part of the world. And fellowship centres have talked about their investment too. And if such people are going to put that investment in, we need to make sure that there is a quality fellowship there for bilateral learning, the department and the individual to benefit. And there have been a lot of markers of quality that have been advocated for in this webinar. Please take a look at the webinar a second time, perhaps, or get in touch with some of the people here and really think about how you would ensure those markers of quality are there, and then how you would assess your fellowship to make sure that what you're seeing or what you think you're seeing is there, and opportunities for ongoing development. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Excellent, Sonia. Thank you so much. Dr. Vanda?
Thank you. Maybe a short message is a reminder about those pillars that we have talked about. And the pillars are, again, the fellow as how to transform it from trainee to consultant, how to use system-based practice and to form leaders who are able to change systems, to mentor others, how we cultivate resilience in those fellows while mentoring them and helping them find their professional identity, how to implement the science of implementation, taking these knowledge and translating into practice, into action. And finally, this brain gain model that is not, this is gain and this is not brain loss. This is gain for the entire country when those very well-formed leaders will come and make the change. And kudos, of course, for WFSA for all the efforts. 30 years, it's really a long period of time. And I believe there are more than 400 fellows that have been formed, and over now 12 subspecialties, which is wow. So thank you, everyone.
Excellent, Dr. Vanda, and also for a special thanks for you for putting up this webinar so very well and for coordinating. Thank you so much. Dr. Liana?
Sonia's idea, always Sonia's idea with a big smile.
Thank you, Sonia. And now to Dr. Liana.
Hi, so I think that we're living a great moment here, 30 years of WFSA fellowships. It's an amazing accomplishment, and my message will be to all potential fellows or people thinking about applying, and that would be have the courage and do it. You have to get out of the comfort zone in order to improve yourself, and I think that is the most important thing to keep in mind. Just have the courage and do it.
Thank you so much, Liana. Dr. Ramos?
I think what I want to share and echo what my colleague has said. Number one is, first of all, to really appreciate and thank WFSA for supporting my fellowship. But a second as well, the message to my colleague planning to start a fellowship. It's something doable. When the opportunity comes, please grab those opportunities, and there is nothing to fear. It's something doable. Thank you, Arun.
Excellent, Amos. Thank you so much. Dr. Ekta?
Thank you, Dr. Bala, for this chance to talk. I don't know whether it's my take-home message, but I thought this is the platform where we can talk about the kind of effort fellows are taking, the kind of effort WFSA is doing, the kind of effort course directors, their institution doing, I would really urge at this point, look at the success story. Probably this is the time to ask for more funding, to ask for people to come forward and support this program, because I think a lot of support is needed for this program. You can see one person going to their countries making massive change in that country. So I would really urge people to come forward and support this program. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ekta. And Dr. Vasco?
Yes, please train in non-technical skills, teamwork, and interprofessional work, and maintain the physical and mental wellness.
So thank you so much, Dr. Vasco. And on behalf of the entire panelist team here, would wanted to profoundly thank Dr. Rosa for doing the groundwork for this meeting, and the entire WFSA team, the governance manager, Elizabeth, President Daniela, President-elect Carolina, and the board and the committee and the council and Faye Events, the director of programs, who all put together to make this a well-oiled machinery to give to the world the best possible to prevent and preserve life across the globe. And what else can be more comfortable and award for WFSA for this 3 decades of excellence in making this world a level playing ground and making sure that people live and because of the transfer of intellect, brilliance, knowledge, hard work, and passion to serve. So this webinar is truly a webinar which emphasizes the need for level playing ground for people deprived because of their geography, and WFSA pitches in to make sure that it's all becoming a level playing ground. So that was a brilliant effort, and we wish that this would continue. And before we conclude, I think it's very crucial and important, all those whom we saw virtually today, to see them physically in the World Congress of Anesthesia at Marrakesh, Morocco, because nothing like shaking hands, giving a warm hug and a smile. And we look forward to build up this organization from what it is today. We need all of you to come physically to experience the friendship and the networking and make this world an absolute safe place as far as perioperative care is concerned. So thank you so much. And I'm very happy that we could start on time and we could end on time with such pearls of wisdom emanating from every speaker. Thank you so much.
Thank you.